There's a strange sweetness to childhood memories when you're looking back from a place of hurt. I can still see the red brick house in Savannah, Georgia, the scent of peach cobbler drifting from the kitchen, cicadas buzzing in the thick summer heat, laughter spilling through every room. Daniel was 3 years older, taller, louder, certain of himself in a way I never was. We fought over trash duty and the last piece of cornbread, but even in our squabbles, there was an invisible thread binding us together. Afternoons meant sprawling on the porch, me, the quiet dreamer with a notebook full of sketches, him, the golden boy, varsity quarterback, student body president, everyone's favorite. But when the lights went out, we were just two kids sneaking cookies from the pantry and whispering secrets until sleep pulled us under. I never imagined a day when he wouldn't want me in his life, but time has its own erosion. I left for Austin at 19 to chase design school and independence. Daniel stayed, graduated from Emory, then rocketed through the ranks at a Manhattan investment firm. We drifted, yes, but I always believed we'd circle back. So when Mom called last April to say Daniel was getting married in New York, my heart leapt. I pictured candlelight, champagne toasts, us laughing like old times. The invitations went out, thick envelopes in gold script, lighting up our family group chat. I waited for mine. A day passed. A week. 2. Nothing. I told myself it must have been lost in the mail. Deep down, I knew better. At work, my team asked if I was excited. I lied, deflecting with jokes, pretending I had details I didn't. Truth was, no one called, not even my parents. I buried the hurt under my success, pouring myself into Horizon Lux, my private jet charter company that now ferried executives from Miami to Milan. But late at night, scrolling through childhood photos, I searched for some clue in those unguarded smiles. Then, one humid Friday in May, with rain sliding down my Austin windows, I caved. I called him. Big days coming up, I said lightly. When's the wedding? The silence stretched 3-4 beats too long before his voice came, sharp and cold. It's not your concern, Claire. Stay out of it. I blinked. What? Why? You heard me, he snapped. You're just a garbage collector for rich passengers. Stay away. The words hit harder than I expected, like every summer afternoon, every midnight cookie, every moment I defended him against Dad's temper had been erased. And then the line went dead. I'm not someone who cries easily, but that night, I did. Not for the wedding, for the erasure. For realizing that the brother I'd loved without question couldn't see who I had become, a woman who built her own empire in the sky, inch by inch, without permission or apology. Lying in the dark, I made a promise to myself, his rejection would not define me. If he thought I was background noise, I would write my own headline. By morning, the rain still clung to the glass. I dialed my parents' number, exhaustion and resolve warring inside me. Dad picked up on the second ring. Claire, we were just talking about you. How's Texas? There was the faint clink of dishes in the background, Mom humming softly. For a moment, the sound wrapped around me like the old Savannah summers, safe, warm, familiar. Can we talk? It's about Daniel. I kept my tone steady, but my voice cracked anyway. Dad sighed, that long, heavy exhale that always meant bad news. What about your brother? So I told him, every word, the phone call, the insult, the way it hollowed me out. When I finished, the silence stretched so long I thought the line had gone dead. Then he laughed, low, careless, sharp enough to cut. He's right, Claire, you've always been better at picking up after people than doing anything real yourself. The slap landed before I could brace for it. I had called hoping for comfort, maybe even a scrap of the warmth I remembered from our red brick kitchen. Instead, I got a dismissal that burned. Through the speaker, Mom's voice floated in, soft, but precise as a blade. Not everyone's meant for the big leagues, sweetheart. Daniel's got a lot going on. Maybe focus on your own life instead of his. There it was, my family resume in 2 neat sentences. To them, I was still the quiet girl who slipped out of Georgia at 19 and never fully came back. The one smiling on the edges of Christmas photos, always setting the table, always cleaning up after dinner, useful, reliable, invisible. They didn't know me, they'd never asked. Not about the woman who flew between Austin and Dubai every month. Not about the empire I built from nothing. Not about Horizon Lux, the private jet fleet that moved billionaires and CEOs across the globe. For a second, I wanted to tell them. I wanted to throw my truth in their faces, but why waste breath on people who'd already decided who I was? Something in me cracked, and instead of shattering, I felt lighter. "Fine," I said, my voice cool as steel. "We have no relationship now. Good luck with the wedding." A gasp. Silence. I ended the call before they could speak again. My hands shook, but the weight I'd carried for 32 years had lifted. That afternoon, I drove to the hangar outside Austin. The air was cool, humming with quiet power. My Gulfstream G700 gleamed under the lights, silver skin catching every flicker of reflection. I ran my hand along its wing. This was mine. Every jet, every flight path, every deal fought for in rooms where no one expected me to win. Here, I wasn't Claire, the family disappointment. I was the woman whose word moved millions. That night, I stood on my balcony with a glass of Tempranillo. The Texas sunset bleeding gold and rose across the sky. My phone stayed silent. No Daniel, no parents, and for the first time, I didn't care. If they didn't want me at their table, I'd build one of my own, and make sure it soared higher than they could ever imagine. And if you think being cut from a wedding is the end of this story, wait until you see what happens when I walk into that ballroom uninvited. Horizon Luxe was my secret world, built without their blessing, without their rules. What I didn't expect was Michael Wool. He came in quietly, the first pilot I hired when the fleet grew faster than I could fly it. Steady, unshakable, the kind of man who hands you the right wrench without a word. It wasn't instant. But in a life lived above the clouds, he felt like home. He listened. He never judged. One late night in the hangar, after hours of flight logs and paperwork, he kissed me. It felt like breathing after holding it too long. We kept it simple. No drama, no headlines. Michael moved into my Austin loft. We flew to Europe, took long walks through Zilker Park, talked about everything and nothing. He didn't care about my bank account or my jets, just me. Claire. Not the CEO. Not the family afterthought. A year later, we married in Aspen. Spring air crisp, mountains dusted with snow, a wooden lodge glowing like a secret. My dress was simple. His gray suit matched the silver in the sky. A few close friends, pilots and crew, watched as we promised honesty, patience, and to keep each other grounded, even at 30,000 feet. It was perfect. And then, the story got out. Maybe a hotel guest talked. Maybe someone noticed the rings. Days later, mystery jet owner marries pilot in Aspen. Headlines followed, private jet queen ties the knot. My phone lit up like a runway, reporters, celebrities, strangers. And then, my family. Mom's trembling voicemail, "Claire, sweetheart, we had no idea. Please call us." Dad, fumbling casual, "Hey, kiddo, looks like you've been busy. Call us, okay?" Daniel, the same brother who once called me a garbage collector, at first stiff, saw the news. "Call me." By the third message, "Claire, please." "I'm sorry." Cousins from Atlanta. Aunts from New Jersey. Relatives in Paris. Suddenly, everyone wanted to catch up. It was almost funny. The same people who erased me now acted like I'd just landed on the cover of Vogue. I stared at my phone, anger and amusement tangled together. Not because I hated them, but because for years I begged for their approval. Now, I didn't need it. I had what they wanted, a story, a fleet, a life they'd never imagined. And I wasn't giving them a seat. Michael noticed the calls piling up. He didn't tell me what to do, just brewed coffee, flipped pancakes, humming Beatles under his breath. And I realized, I owed them nothing. Not my story. Not my money. Not even a returned call. So I let the phone ring. Listened to the voicemails thick with regret, and ignored every single one. Instead, I spent the weekend with Michael, walking Austin Hills, planning new routes, talking about maybe starting a family. Up here, in my Gulfstream, I knew the truth: family isn't blood, it's who stays when the storms hit. Who builds with you when the world bets against you? I was never collecting garbage. I was collecting freedom. And the sky? It's mine now. Wide open. On my terms. If you've ever been counted out, you know the fire it leaves in your chest. My family didn't believe in me until the headlines did, but I didn't build this life for their approval. I built it for me. Your worth isn't defined by their opinion.